welcome to another Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday. Yes, Saturday, where we try to look into or talk about or explore something that is related to sci-fi or fantasy or something pretty close. Today, we're going to take a look at One Deck Galaxy from Asmadi Games. Now, this is in the line of One Deck Dungeon, in which I've covered some of that on my channel. This is basically a fantasy game, true to its name. It is one deck, and you are exploring a dungeon. And it's mainly a dice allocation game, where you're having characters and trying to explore a dungeon and fight baddies and get to a boss and beat the boss, all by collecting more skills and different types of dice that let you fight different types of creatures or monsters, and then eventually the boss. And so that's what this One Deck Dungeon is all about. But what is One Deck Galaxy all about? Well, it's a little bit different. It's going to be a dice manipulation game or management game, or placement game, whatever you want to call it, with what you're doing with your dice. You know what you're doing with your dice. But this one is more of a, space exploration game, more of a Civ Empire builder type game. So let's take a look at the back of the box and get a little bit better understanding of this. One Deck Galaxy is the spacefaring successor to One Deck Dungeon. Your goal is simple: build up your civilization from its humble homeworld, growing to create a federation spanning countless star systems. You need to establish colonies, develop techs, launch probes, build fleets, all done by cleverly using your dice and focusing your efforts on what you deem most important. Standing between you and your cosmic destiny, each game is one of several adversaries. You'll have to split your efforts between growing your own strength and confronting them directly. Every adversary has its own set of rules and abilities, and you'll need to come up with different clever plans to defeat each one. So there you have it. Time is 45 to 60 minutes, 1 to 2 players, and age is 14 plus. There is a little bit of a cooperative mode. I don't think this is opposed, but I know in One Deck Dungeon, there was a little bit of a cooperative aspect. I only play it solitaire, but there is ability to play it cooperative. It'd be interesting to see how this one is done as well. I mean, are you each building a empire, or are you just working together in the same empire? Because in One Deck Dungeon, you can handle different characters, right? It's a dungeon crawl. Well, let's get inside this and see what it is all about. And this is relatively new. I think it's only been out for just this year, I think. At least that's when I got it. And I saw it at my friendly local gaming store just a few weeks ago. So I know that this is maybe been out for a month or a little bit more, maybe 2 months. Anyway, at least in my neck of the woods, whatever that means. So let's get inside the box here. And as I said, this is a little bit different than One Deck Dungeon, at least what I've read on it and seen so far. It just looks like it's using some of the same core mechanics, but you're not doing a dungeon crawl, you're doing a galaxy crawl, right? So let's see what we got here. Here is your adversary quick guide. So this is talking about your adversaries. Here's your quick reference right there. A lot of symbology, but you're dealing with cards, so you have limited space. So this is going to talk about the different adversaries. So you've got the Nebel Woober Colony Fleet, the Hungry Nebula, the Optimization Calibrator, sounds like the Borg, right? Dark Star Syndicate, and Preservation Authority. Wow, so you got quite a few adversaries in there. So we got the Galaxy Guidebook, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Anybody watch that? Read that? I was one of my favorite books in junior high, in high school. Anyway, relatively thick, but it's a small book. You've got 43 pages. Look at that. You've got campaign mode. So let's take a quick look at the rules here. It's small and it's glossy. Okay. Got an introduction. You've got your components. You've got setup. Continue on with the setup here. Your civilization. And this looks very familiar to One Deck Dungeon. You know, this will tell you what kind of dice that you're able to roll, and then you might have some special abilities. This one I think is going to be a little bit more complicated because your special abilities is just not magic or attacking your, developing empires and colonies and stuff. Here's the galaxy deck. So this is what you're going to be encountering. So I imagine you have these encounters before you get to the big adversary, or maybe the adversary is always there. Like in One Deck Dungeon, there's a lot of little minions and creatures and monsters, oh my, and then you eventually get to the boss. Maybe the adversary is always out there. We'll have to get into that. So you got locations, explaining how those work, and you can see here that's the dice you're going to need to roll. So you're going to need to have, I guess, have a 5 value in blue, and 3 value in yellow there, and an 8 value in red or pink or whatever color that is. Red, maybe. Anyway, at least that looks very similar to One Deck Dungeon. Here's influence. And that's continued here. Here's gameplay. So the adversary looks like they go first. You resolve adversary events. Then you discover. Then you have actions where you're rolling your dice. Then you have results. There you go. Here's the adversary phase. The adversary. I love that song. Anyway, let me know if you guys know what I'm talking about. You have the discovery phase. You have milestones. Probably can't tell because I butchered the lyrics as well, and the music, and I cannot carry a tune. Action phase. So you have gather. Step 1 is gather. Step 2 is act. That's where you're placing your dice, to allocating them here. They call it act. I call it allocation. Action phase continue. Continuing. You got some star bases here. Star base disc. Oh, that's interesting. Action calibrate. That's interesting. Like combining dice, maybe. Use of tech. Got some keywords over here. You got your results phase. Claiming location and encounter cards. Found a colony. Develop a tech. So instead of like getting skills or rewards or potions and stuff, you're going to have these colonies and tech, and I imagine you shove these under your civilization or empire or whatever, and they further develop your abilities. There's some fleets over here. Then we reset at the end, and then there's reshuffling. When you run out of cards, a little bit more about adversaries, adversary events, victory and defeat, and then here's 2-player rules. So there's a 2-player side of the home world. So I think you're both playing for the same home world. Campaign mode, and there you have it. So let's look at some of the cards you get in here. Oh, we got some big cards. Oh, we have a Federation Simulator. This pack contains 24 unique campaign sheets for One Deck Galaxy. Oh, that's kind of cool. So this is just not a scorecard. It's a unique. Oh, that's cool. It's got a little setup there. So these are different campaigns that you can play. That's kind of cool. So you got 24 of those. Awesome. All right. So what we got here, we've got some big cards. I'll take a look at that. We've got some smaller cards, or not necessarily small. They look like regular size cards, but smaller than these big cards. Hence, big cards. We've got some discs here. These might be like the fleet disc or colony discs or what have you. They look okay. They look like they are little decent thickness of cardboard, but different kinds of discs in there. Okay. All kinds of dice, because this is a dice game. It says it's one deck, but it's one deck plus mini dice. So here's all your different colored dice. You got pink, blue, and yellow, and some black. And the black, you typically, like in one deck dungeon, they're like random or universal. You can use them for a lot of different things. Anyway, so let's get into these decks here and see what we have before us. If I need to pan out a little bit, I might, just so you guys can see this better. Which one should we do first? Big or small? Big or small? Let's do big, okay, because I got those first. And away we go here. So we've got on the back side here, we've got star bases. This is Starbase 4, Starbase Class 4, Class 2. These are, these look like they're the adversaries. So it's got some track here that you get to a win. Interesting. All kinds of cards here. Okay, so let's look at what we have. This is Starbase, and then, so this is Starbase Class 4, Class 3. So I guess you use this for your fleet and starbases to keep track. Maybe you upgrade starbases over time. Here's Class 1. So interesting there. Maybe you can put different types of dice there, like any, you'll get that. If you put 2 equal, you'll get that. And if you put 3 equal amounts, like 3 threes, you'll get that. Maybe these are resources. Then you can use or these are fleets. That's your fleets. And then you get that to do modifiers. I'm learning. There's your fleet. Then we got the adversaries here. That's basically, I think, the turn order, like adversary, discover, action, results. That's just to keep a little reminder there. Yeah, you have different levels of these, maybe. Oh, they're a little bit different on each side. That's interesting. But these are all the different adversaries. Very nice. So quite a bit of playability here. I wonder if these advance during the game, or if you just you can pick different skill levels of these. There's little stars up here. Maybe that tells what skill level. Yeah, like this is a 4, this is a 2. So the Hungry Nebula is a 1, so maybe that's the easiest one to do. But you can take it and make it a little bit harder, make it a 3. So that's cool. All right. What are these? So we have the guard. This is 2-player. Oh, these might be some of these campaigns here, maybe. I don't know. The different milestones, Federation level. So this is 2P is 2-player. Gotta believe that's right. This is 1-player Guardians. The Mathematicians, 2-player, 1-player. Botanist, 2-player, 1-player. Scientist, 2-player, 1-player. Yes, I'm right. Explorers, 2-player and 1-player. What are these things here? What do we got here? We've got Zib-Zab. Oh, these are the things you can play. So you can be the Zib-Zab. Oh, these are the 2-player versions. And then you've got the 1-player versions. So you have Elements. These are probably the dice you get to roll. Have 20 dice in your pool. I guess that's something you need to accomplish. You put your text down here and your colonies over here. So your colonies are going to add more different variety of dice you can roll. And the text, well, I don't know. We'll have to see what the text add. So you got the Elements. I cannot even begin to pronounce that. Looks like a little bit of a Captain Hook person. The Felici, cat people. The Plumplin, Zib Zab, and there you have. So these are the different, so you got 5 different empires or homeworlds that you can play. Then we have the main part of the deck. So I think this is false advertising. This is not just one deck Galaxy, because you got a deck here and then you got a deck here. Well, these aren't a deck, right? Oh, so maybe they're still true to their name. So this is your main deck here. So we've got some cards here that go with the different adversaries. These are tied to the adversaries. Maybe it talks about how you play them and what they do. And then they have some adversary events here. So these are events that are unique to the different adversaries. So let's get through. Oh yeah, so this is. Let's get to the deck part. So this is the deck. Deck's kind of small. So these are all about adversaries here. So you've got the Neeble Wobblers, and they have some different cards. These are events that's tied to them. So that's one of the things you have on there is you resolve the adversary event. I think this goes with the Neeble Wobblers. Then you got the Hungry Nebula. So it's allocation. So I guess if you're attacking it, you need to do these things to go after it. And then it's got its own event deck there. So you're going to have this for each, this set of cards of their, I think what the dice you have to allocate, and then how you play them, and then they have their own unique event deck for each of the different adversaries. So very cool. So a lot of difference there. Looks like a lot of variety there. And then you have your one deck Galaxy. This is what you're doing most every turn is encountering these, and you have to get 8 total pips, or have your dice add up to 8, or have your yellow dice add up to 8. For that you need to have 3, and that you need to have you need to put a 4 pink right there. So this would go over to the side of your card here, and so this would add that you get to roll another yellow. So this one starts off rolling 3 yellow, 2 pink, and a whole bunch of blue. And if you add this colony, you get to roll another yellow. And I don't know if this is a black or not. And fuel might be kind of your health in this game. Not sure. All right. So then this is probably tech down below. So if you want to add tech, if you conquer this card or complete its requirements, then you put the tech down here, and this gives you another ability. This is your normal ability that you start off with, but then you'd have this tech down here. So you can, when you accomplish one of these by meeting its requirements, I think you can decide whether to colonize it or add it as a tech. So there you have it. So you got all kinds of different cards here. These are different, galaxies or planets that you're encountering. The Unseen. That looks tough, actually. So a lot of stuff here. So this is most of the game, is encountering these and having to manipulate your dice or allocate your dice to do what they require you to do. So a bunch of those out there. Anyway, don't know what this means up here. Anyway, gotta check that out. So there you have it. That is One Deck Galaxy. If you're familiar with One Deck Dungeon, this looks like it's very much in the same vein as One Deck Galaxy, but this whole thing of having an adversary out there maybe every turn is a little bit different, because this is kind of the boss, but it's a persistent boss in that regard. You're not fighting little minions and stuff. You're encountering different encounters in different type of galaxies and stuff. There's a lot of variety here in both your adversaries and in the home world you can play. And then you have this, maybe this goes along with the campaign game, so there's a lot more variety there. And you got your fleet, abilities there. This to me is kind of similar to what when you go up a level in One Deck Dungeon, because you level up. This is maybe you're leveling up. You get higher class of Starbase and Well, that gives you better fleets and stuff. Maybe that's it there. Anyway, I'm just making it all up. Anyway, so this is what you get in a box of One Deck Galaxy. If you like One Deck Dungeon and you want a little bit more of a sci-fi theme, then I think this is probably right up your alley. If you are, and if you like dice manipulation and, you know, trying to come up with an optimization of your character, or in this case, your home world, to try to, you know, beat the game, so to speak, you know, beat the adversary, then this, again, might be your game. If you like rolling a lot of dice, this might be your game. If you don't like any of those things, this might not be your game. Anyway, that's what I have for you today on Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday. Thank you so much for stopping by. Always appreciate it. And the best way I know that you stop by, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this game or One Deck Dungeon, either one of the two that came out. And there was like an expansion as well. Or dice games in general, or solo games in general. I don't care. Let me know what you think. Just keep it civil. Take care. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.